Association UK Ghana region. Mr. Korte, what is the current situation with safety on our roads?
Thank you very much. I would say safety on our roads is very bad. It's very bad. Because just from January up to date, we have a lot of recordings on our roads. Regards to motor vehicle and motorbikes, is very bad.
So, whose responsibility is it for us to make sure that we are safe on our roads?
When we talk of responsibility, then once we talk about the road and its responsibility, then we tend to look at the National Road Safety Authority. But the issue here is using of the road is a shared responsibility. And for some time now, I used to think about this very two words: common sense. Common sense. For the past 2 weeks, I've been thinking about this word. Why do we say common driver? Common driver. Why? And thinking through it, it tells me that using the road is a shared responsibility. The drivers have their own responsibility to take care of. Pedestrians have their own responsibility to take care of. And the enforcement agency or the authorities also have their own responsibility to take care of. So everybody has a responsibility as far as the road is concerned.
If I may ask you, it's a shared responsibility, as you are saying. We, as Ghanaians, I want to ask you, the shared responsibility, is government doing enough, or are pedestrians doing enough?
When you talk of government doing enough, I would say no. I would say no. Why? Because in the olden days where we were having only one TV station, that is GBC, then it was not GTV, it was GBC. They have been showing a lot of defensive driving on our roads and road safety issues, even how pedestrians are supposed to cross the road, how they are supposed to use the roads, what drivers are supposed to do, even if your indicator is off, it's not working, or even if it's working, you have to use a signal attached to your indicator. They were showing all these things. But nowadays that we talk of technology, now in Ghana, how many TV stations we have? When I scan my decode, I have about 200, stations. And I don't see better things that they are doing on these radio stations, TV stations. Talk of our radio stations. So when you talk of government doing enough, I would say it's not enough.
Okay. If I may ask you, you are administrator for the OSA Association UK Ghana region. I've heard you one or two occasions on radio educating people. How is it going? Can you tell us about that?
Yes.
Have you covered safety on our roads in your radio programs, and what has been the evaluation so far?
Yes, I made mention of GBC in the olden days. I know 70s, 80s coming before these new stations. So in that sense, if you have any program to do, you have only one station to tackle. Like you are saying, I used to Not that I used to, but I'm still doing it. A program with one FM station in the Western region. And in the Western region now, as I'm talking to you now, we have about 30-something FM stations. So how do you think I can cover all these radio stations? Because at a point in time, as we are sitting down here now, the population of the Western region have tuned to all these, let's say 35 stations listening to. So give it a percentage. We have about 1% of the Western region population listening to us now. So in that case, how effective do you think the education will be? In my presentations, I normally say that you listening to me, you are my witness. So I expect you to descend the message down to those who are not listening. So at the end of the day, coming back to shared responsibility, if you have the opportunity of listening to any of these road safety educations on any of the TV stations or the radio stations, it is your responsibility to discern whatever you have heard to those who have not gotten the opportunity to listen. So that is it. When you talk of percentage or how in-depth our messages have gone, so far so good. We do have call-in programs, and we have a lot of people calling in, asking questions. So I would say deep within it is going, but the case here is if we should have enough sponsorship, organizations coming to our aid to sponsor some of our programs like we are doing here, then we can say that the communication or the training will go very deep to the populace, because at a certain, if we are supposed to, let's say, engage all our radio stations within the Western region at a goal, let's say 1 hour, for them to listen to us, the education we are giving on the air. In that case, we can say that about 95%. I'm giving the 5% to, let's say, those who are in the organizations, maybe working, who does not have access to radios. Most of the organizations, some may be working, and that person may tune to a particular station using their phone and earpiece. Even some, they have radio sets in the offices and so forth. So I'm just giving 5% to those who are not having this kind of gadgets. So in that case, if we should have cover all our radio stations in the Western region for about 1 hour, which we have sponsors who have been able to buy this airtime for us, and we are doing this radio education, then my brother, I could say that give us a shorter time. That mentality which we call common sense will change. You know, let me dive deep into this. As I've been asking myself, common sense, common driver, common driver, common driver. And you see these drivers, hey, Jimana, excuse me to use that word on the air. You know, insult here and there. But the case here is, are they aware of what they are doing? That it is wrong or good? I had the opportunity to sit in a taxi, but then I was traveling. I was going to use the STC. So I joined a taxi. On the road, the driver did something, and I used the opportunity to educate him. We spoke at length. Before we got to the station, the education I've given to the driver, he was so marveled. And this is an old man who have driven for years on our roads. And he was asking funny questions, which I answered. Gave him the laws and all those. So at the end of the day, I tried to measure the common driver to the common sense. Because in driving, you may go to the driving school, you may be taught a whole lot of things, but the end result is the application. The application is where the common sense comes in. Because, let me use this as an example. We are taught that on the road, we have the minor road and the major road. So if I'm on the major road, then I have the right of way. If somebody is coming from the minor road to join the major road, that person coming from the minor road doesn't have the right of way. Now, if I'm driving and there's a junction in front of me, and I've seen a car either stopped or on a waiting, what we call give way. Let's assume there is no vehicle on that junction. Now, because it's my right of way, do I have to just speed on without assessing the risk at the junction?
So, if I may ask you, what is the major cause? What is the major cause of accident?
Watch signals.
You've spoken a lot this afternoon, but if I may ask you, what are the major causes of accidents on our roads?
The major causes of accidents on our roads, I would say, 1 is ignorance. 2 is complacency. 3, I would say, selfishness. Now, if I should explain some of these things, what we normally see on the road is getting to the hill, you don't have to overtake. Getting to curves, you don't have to overtake. Getting to where there is zebra crossing ahead, maybe 200 meters ahead, you don't have to overtake. And certain junctions. But this is the case where we see drivers doing overtaking on a hill, doing overtaking even in the curves, not getting to the curves, but in the curves, and a lot more. We see drivers putting on their hazard and trying to do away with traffic by means of using the opposite direction Cummins road. And by doing that, we'll just be pushing the oncoming vehicle aside, paving its way through. All these attitudes are not good. We have instances where on our roads, we have stop, we have give way, and so forth. One way. This is the case where drivers, because we don't read signs on the road, we intend to do the opposite. Where a driver is supposed to stop for a vehicle that is, or who has its right of way to pass before he or she will join the road, because he or she is not reading the sign, he will just drive through. In that sense, the other person knows that he or she has the right of way, and there will be collision on the road.
So before we go, what is the final take here?
If you're a driver, normally what communicates to you is the road signs. So every driver must be used to the road signs and read the road signs whilst they are driving. And every driver must be patient on the road, because we are all road users and we have equal right of the road. Like I said initially, the road is a shared responsibility. So we need to share the road. The road is not for one person. The word is sharing. So if you are sharing anything with anybody, it's by means of percentage, 50-50. We share the road. So we must be patient on the road. We must share the road. And we must give equal responsibility, or we must give equal access of the road to pedestrians, to animals, to motorists, and to those who use bicycle. So that is what I'll say.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jonas Korte, the Administrator, Ghana Region of the OSA Association, UK. I am also Jobret Nyako. Bye-bye.
Bye.